British Air Forces, a historical overview. RAF formation in WWII. The Royal Air Force was formed on April 1, 1918, becoming the world's first independent air force. This was a landmark moment in military aviation history. Before the RAF, Britain had two separate air services. The Royal Flying Corps, RFC, part of the British Army, established 1912. The Royal Naval Air Service, RNAS, part of the Royal Navy, established 1914. These services operated independently during WWII, sometimes competing for resources and lacking coordination. The merger was driven by several factors. German bombing raids on London in 1917 exposed the need for unified air defense, and military leaders recognized that air power needed strategic independence, rather than serving merely as support for ground or naval forces. The RFC and RNAS were merged largely due to recommendations in the Smuts Report, which argued for an independent air arm. Major General Hugh Trenchard became the first chief of the Air Staff, though he initially opposed the merger. By war's end in November 1918, the RAF had become the largest air force in the world with nearly 300,000 personnel and over 22,000 aircraft. The Battle of Britain, 1940. The Battle of Britain was the RAF's finest hour and a decisive turning point in WWII after conquering France. Nazi Germany needed air superiority over the English Channel to launch Operation Sea Lion, their planned invasion of Britain. Timeline and phases. July-August 1940. The Luftwaffe attacked coastal convoys and ports. August-September 1940, shifted to attacking RAF. Airfields and aircraft factories. September 7th onwards, changed strategy to bombing. London and other cities, the Blitz. The battle was won by a combination of factors. RAF Fighter Command, led by Air Chief Marshal Hugh Dowding, used an integrated air defense system featuring radar stations along the coast that provided early warning of German attacks, fighter control rooms that coordinated responses, and effective communication networks. The British fighters, primarily Supermarine Spitfires and Hawker Hurricanes, were defending on home territory with the advantage of shorter distances to bases and the ability to recover downed pilots. The Luftwaffe suffered unsustainable losses, losing approximately 1,700 aircraft compared to about 900 RAF fighters. On September 15, 1940, now celebrated as Battle of Britain Day, the RAF inflicted particularly heavy losses. Hitler postponed Operation Sea Lion indefinitely on September 17th and eventually canceled it. This marked Nazi Germany's first major defeat and proved that the Luftwaffe was not invincible. Winston Churchill famously said, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few," referring to the RAF fighter pilots. Modern evolution. Post-WT transformation. After WT, the RAF underwent massive demobilization but remained a global force during the Cold War. The force transitioned to jet aircraft in the late 1940s and early 1950s, with aircraft like the Gloucester Meteor and de Havilland Vampire. Britain developed its own nuclear deterrent, initially delivered by RAF V-bombers, Valiant, Victor, and Vulcan, before the deterrent passed to the Royal Navy's submarine fleet in 1969. End of Empire and Cold War. As Britain's empire dissolved, the RAF withdrew from bases worldwide, but maintained significant Cold War commitments in Germany and elsewhere. The service saw action in conflicts including the Korean War, Malayan Emergency, Suez Crisis, and various colonial conflicts. The introduction of aircraft, like the English Electric Lightning, Interceptor, and later the Panavia Tornado, showed Britain's commitment to advanced air power. Recent decades, the RAF has adapted to post-Cold War realities with significant budget pressures and restructuring. Major operations have included the 1982 Falklands War, including the famous Vulcan bomber Black Buck raids, the 1991 Gulf War, operations in the Balkans during the 1990s, and sustained involvement in Afghanistan and Iraq in the 2000s-2010s. Current RAF. Today's RAF is much smaller than its Cold War peak but technologically advanced. Key aircraft include the Eurofighter, Typhoon for air, defense and multi-role operations, the F-35B Lightning II stealth fighter shared with the Royal Navy, transport aircraft like the A400M Atlas and C-17 Globemaster, and various helicopters and surveillance aircraft. The RAF numbers approximately 33,000 regular personnel, a far cry from its WWII peak of over 1 million. The service continues to evolve, focusing on cyber warfare, unmanned aerial vehicles, and maintaining Britain's contribution to NATO and coalition operations worldwide. The RAF remains one of the world's most capable and professional air forces, despite its reduced size.